Hi guys, it's Miriam Akbar. Welcome to my channel. I'm so excited to hang with you guys today and I have a great video coming up for you, so keep on watching. Okay, so hi everyone. Thanks for coming back to my YouTube channel. For today's episode, we are gonna focus on makeup brushes. I get asked all the time, what brush do I use for what? Or a lot of people have all these brushes and then they'll use 2 out of 100 because they have no idea how to use all of them. So I think that this is gonna be a very informative YouTube channel, and oh look, my tie-dye cup. The most important thing is my tie-dye cup. Okay, first we're gonna start out with talking about all the brushes to create a beautiful eyeshadow blend. So the 2 most important brushes that I use, and if you only want what do I absolutely need, it's gonna be these 2 brushes. So one is gonna be a long and fluffy crease brush, and the other one is going to be a more dense eyeshadow brush. So let's start with this brush because this is my favorite brush. This is my all-time favorite brush. So it can come in different lengths and thicknesses, but if you notice, all of them are pretty much the same shape, but some are bigger, some are longer, blah, blah, blah. So basically why this brush is absolutely amazing is because it's gonna create a gorgeous eyeshadow blend. So you're gonna pick up your eyeshadow and you're gonna place it at the end of your eye and just in a very light circular motion, blend into the eye. So because it's long and fluffy, it's gonna create that beautiful blend and it's gonna... Rainbow. Okay, so most important brush for me, I just love this brush so much. So a crease brush. So when you pick up the shadow, you tap, 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 and then you get all of the fallouts. And everything that falls out, if you don't tap, it would have otherwise ended up on your face.
Which could get
clunky. Clunky? Okay, word of the day, clunky. Okay, so this is gonna give you that gorgeous, just a very soft blend on your eyes. The next brush that we're gonna focus on is gonna be the eyeshadow brush. So as you can tell, the shape is different, it's shorter, and it's a lot more dense. So I'm gonna show you a couple different ones. Again, different shapes and sizes, just like the first brush that I showed you guys, but all really will do the same thing. Brian, it almost seems like I'm in jail here. So these brushes are a lot more dense and they're shorter. This is ideal for applying eyeshadow on the lid because you really want to pack that shadow on your lid. And especially when you're working with a shimmer, this is gorgeous. So my 2 tips on how to perfectly apply eyeshadow on the lid is you pick up your eyeshadow, Brian's favorite move, tap, 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 and either you press and pull, or you pat, 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 and it's really gonna pack that shadow onto your eyelid and it'll be just absolutely stunning. You never wanna see any lines on your eyeshadow between the crease and the lid. So if you feel like, I need a little bit more blending, you're gonna go back to the first brush that we talked about and use it to lightly, just where the colors meet, where they marry, you're gonna just very lightly blend it together so it creates just a gorgeous eyeshadow blend. This is called a blending brush or a crease brush. So the next brush that I want to talk about is called the angle brush. So this serves 2 purposes. Not 1, but 2. But wait, there's more. So either this can be for your eyebrows, so you can pick up a gel or a shadow and just put the color through your brows, or you can use it for liner. So sometimes if I want to do a daytime look, I just pick up a shadow and then I just kind of place it at my lash line, and then it creates the illusion of thicker, fuller lashes, but it's not like bam in your face, like bam in your face, like bam in your face. Bam. Okay, moving on. So I think we covered that, right? So the angle brush. So for eyebrows, or for gel or cream liners, or shadow to create a liner. Very, very, very important brush. The other thing actually as well that I love to do with this brush is, y'all know I love a good bottom smudge, so I love to take it and actually create a bottom smudge with it as well. So this is a very, very, very important brush. So far we've covered 3 brushes: crease, shadow, and angled brush. The next one that I want to talk about is this kind of small dome-shaped brush, and it's the Morphe M43 brush. Because it's smaller, you have more control to either do the dark at the end of your eye. So if you have like a really pretty kind of medium color in your crease, you could take a smaller brush like this and create more definition with the dark, or quite the opposite, you can take a light color and dab it inside in your inner corners. Just actually, I have it done actually right now with the light inside my inner corners, and because it's small and dense, it'll really create a beautiful application for the highlight. So 2 things for that. And sometimes I use this to actually put highlight up my nose. Up my nose? To build off of the last brush, so remember how I said that you guys can use it at the end to create more depth? Another brush that I like to use is very similar to the first brush, but it's shorter and denser, but has the same kind of shape. So what I often do is take this first crease brush and put the color inside my crease. And then if I want to go for a darker eye, I'll take a smaller, more dense brush, but it's the same shape. And that's what I use to create the dark color at the end to give it a smokier effect. Why we do this is because the fluffier brush is going to create a more blended look, but because I want the dark at the end of the eye to really pop and I want more of a color deposit, I'm going to go with a denser brush. So always remember, the more dense your brush is, the more that the product is going to stick. And the fluffier the brush is, the more that it's just going to be like that flawless, like very light blend. So moving on to the face, remember that one of your best brushes for the face is going to be your fingers. So for primer, I love to just literally apply it with my fingers. I feel like you can really get into like all the nooks and crannies and like get into areas that a brush can't get into. So for foundation, you can either use a beauty blender or a makeup brush. I personally prefer to use a makeup brush, and that's just because that's how I've always done it. I have a good kind of technique in how to do it, and I love how it gives you an airbrush finish. So as opposed to using like a flat foundation brush that I sometimes see, I like to use a dome-shaped foundation brush similar to this. So this is a Morphe one. All of like the names and numbers have faded off, or even this would work. So it's natural hair bristles, and basically it's so soft. So when you pick up the shadow and you put it on, it's literally like airbrushed makeup. It looks absolutely gorgeous. So this is, if I was to say the #1 question that I get asked, it's what brush should I use to apply foundation? And my answer to you is, my preference is a dome-shaped natural bristle brush. So pick up the product, always start in the middle of the face, and you can just lightly just apply it in a circular motion. So for a concealer brush, I've honestly just been using this brush. I have no idea what name it is, but it's a natural bristle brush as well. And I love the size of it because I feel like it's like perfect for under the eye. It's not so big and it's not so small. It fits just right. With the natural bristles, same thing. It just really kind of blends it in very beautifully. So I pick up the product, pat, 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 and then I just really lightly kind of just like blend it in, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. So I've been using this as a concealer brush, or a more traditional one would be the actual, like something like this, which is an actual concealer brush. The difference is that this is made out of synthetic hair, which is more of like that plasticky hair, and these are natural bristles. So I just find that these blend a lot better. These ones tend to create the lines, and you just have to work a little bit more to blend your makeup. So this is the mother of all brushes. Like, this is huge. This is obviously a powder brush, and the reason that powder brushes are so large is because like your face is big. So whereas like your eyes are smaller and they're more intricate, or when you do contour, it's more detailed, for your face, it's just like you gotta just cover it up. You gotta just go. So you use the big brush and you just kind of just put the powder all over, and it's a lot quicker. Next, we're gonna talk about the contour brush. So I love to use this Morphe E4. It's an angled contour brush, and I love the angled one because it guides you naturally of like where to put it. So top of the ear to the corner of the mouth is my guide, but I just pat, 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 and then I just kind of apply it, and that angle helps really well with the angles and dimensions of your face. It also works really well. Like as you can see my contour here, it's darker than the rest of my face. So I find that it works really well as well around the face. All right, ready to talk about the next thing, which is a blush brush. I'm gonna show you guys two options for blushing. Again, you can either go with an angle brush like this for your blush brush. It is a little bit smaller than the first one, and it's nice because it does give you a little bit more precision. And then you just kind of smile and you get those balls on your cheeks. So you go ahead and you just ball blush. Okay, so a more conventional blush brush is going to be this dome-shaped guy. So this was an angle brush and this is a dome-shaped, and it works perfectly fine. And as you guys can tell, it's fluffy. So again, when we want that really nice blend, we're gonna go for a fluffier brush. So you can use that to blush the balls of your cheeks. So when it's double-ended, it kind of cuts your brush quantity in half. So as opposed to needing all these brushes, you can get the double-ended ones and it's a lot easier. So with this, we blush the balls of our cheeks, flip it around, and then you can use that for the highlight as well. So the other brush that I like to use is these little dome-shaped brushes. And what I like to use these for is if I'm putting powder on, but I don't want to use this mother of a brush, because let's say I want to seal the deal, like I apply my concealer and then I want to set it so it doesn't move. I can't use this because it's way too big. Like, look how big this is. Like, it's like my whole face. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get a smaller brush. So I'll pick up my powder, pat, 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 and then I like to pat my powder underneath and then use it to pat my beard. This one, I sometimes use to blend in my cream contour. I also sometimes use this for cream contour. So you guys can see they're very different brushes, but they do serve the same purpose. So I'm not trying to confuse anyone. I'm actually trying to make things easier for you guys, that don't just think that like you need one brush for like this thing. Like there's definitely different brushes that serve the same purpose.
Where's the Michaels brush?
Oh my God, the Michaels brush. Oh my God, the Michaels brush. Brian, how did I forget the most important brush that I love so much? So this is my Michaels brush. So I get it from Michaels, the craft store. I love this brush so much. I use it for a couple different things. So it's a synthetic brush, which means it's made of those plasticky hairs, which is good for when you're using the cream makeup, which we spoke about at the beginning of this video. So for this, after I filled in my brows with my angle brush, because I taught you guys that at the beginning of the video as well, or whatever, if you're using a pencil or whatever floats your boat for brows, I go ahead and I take this Michaels brush, dip it into my concealer, and then I go around my brows. So usually I start here and press and pull the concealer and then bring it down. And basically the contrast between the concealer and the brows makes it pop and gives you that gorgeous Insta brow. So sometimes, so I'll do the top of the brow as well with this. The other really good thing that I like to do is after I've done my eyeshadow, let's say I want more of like a crisp look at the end. So after I clean it with the makeup remover, as I've showed you guys in my previous videos, go and check those out, then I'll get a little bit of concealer, and I also like to press and pull with the concealer down and then blend it, and it gives you that really sharp chisel. It's also a great way to crisp up your liner using this brush right here. So Michaels is a very important brush. I cannot believe I almost forgot about Mr. Michael. Thank God for you, B. What would I do without you? So you were saying that the broken brush is your favorite? Well, I have another broken brush for you, yay! So I actually love to use this brush to contour my nose, and it's because the shape and the thickness works really well. So when you're contouring your nose, you can't use a brush that's too thick because you don't want very thick, dark lines at the side. So it's very crucial that you use one that has the perfect thickness. If it's too thin, it's gonna create way too much of a defined line, which will be hard to blend out. If it's too thick, your nose is just gonna look bigger because it's just gonna be like these like big dark lines. So I find that this is like the perfect brush for it. It's broken with no name, so I'm sorry about that. But I mean, I've seen this brush like everywhere. And so I just pick up the contour and start at the middle of my nose, and then I just go up into the like a nice straight line, and then up the other side, and I find that it works really well. You know what, I wanna keep this like quite like informative, but also I want it to be not so overwhelming for you guys so that you know, like these are the essential brushes. Obviously, there's a lot more brushes you can do if you're doing more intricate work, and obviously you don't even need all the brushes that I've talked about for day-to-day makeup, but at least now if you know the shape of the brush, the thickness, all of that stuff, you'll have a better understanding of what you need to use for what parts of the makeup. So lastly is the lip brush, and I just have this Morphe M124 brush. And I like this because again, it's thin, so I can use it to line my lips first and then use it to fill in my lips. So thickness is very important. I personally am not a fan of makeup brush sets, so I would prefer to make the investment and hand pick the brushes that I'm actually going to use, and they will last you a long time. Like for me, because I work a lot, so I often have to replace it. It's a good investment. Invest in your brushes because it makes such a huge difference in how your makeup application goes on. If you're using brushes that are cheap or that don't work for what you're doing, your makeup's not gonna sit flawless and be gorgeous. Like I'm so passionate about brushes. I think I'm more passionate about brushes than makeup. That's right, partner. Always use the right tool for the right job. So do not underestimate the importance and the value of the proper brushes for your makeup application. Stop! You with the rainbow hat that has a propeller on it and the tie-dye shirt. I see you. You better go and hit subscribe. I didn't see you hit subscribe. Let's just stop and make sure that he goes to hit subscribe. There you go. Thanks. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you've learned a lot about makeup brushes, and I hope that you'll use these tips in your everyday life. I'm Miriam Akbar. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with all your friends. All of them. Like all of them, and their dogs, and their moms, and their sisters, like everyone. Just share it with everyone.